Good afternoon and good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Tekedia and also to a special program we are co-hosting here with people who might have come to listen to Tekedia Capital Open Day. So thank you so much. My name is Ndubuisi, Ekekwe, connecting today from United States. I'm so excited to have this opportunity of coming here to have a conversation on how to build and how to begin to build. I want to thank you all who, over the last few weeks, we have had the moment to co-learn together on the mechanics of market system, how to combine factors of production to create products and services for the market. So today, we're just going to wrap it up with a presentation on time to build. And simply time to build, because at the end of everything, we still have to go to the market to fix those frictions. But before we do that, I want to see if we can take just two questions. Just make sure that there are still opportunities available for people to ask some questions before we go for what we have today. So please, if you do have any question, raise your hands up and just take two, and then we will go for the presentation. Please go ahead if you do have any question. Okay, go ahead, please, Ajinus.
Okay, Prof. Thank you so much. I just wanted you to throw more light on the minimum viable product for me. I just needed a little more light from you, sir. Not really a big question.
Okay. That one is so easy. Maybe let's also get the one from Busola so that I can just take both together so that we move on straight to what we have today.
Okay. Good evening, Prof. and co-learners. Great to be here. So on the WhatsApp group this evening, there was a conversation about providing referrals, to people. And the person who posted was saying, oh, that it's a superpower for her. She knows how to do this really well for people on LinkedIn and so on and so forth. And that she'll simply need to ask the person a couple of questions, and she'll be able to do that. And then everyone, those of us in class, we can do referrals for one another. And, I thought about it and I said, it doesn't sound quite right to me personally. Again, this is my own opinion. Because before you put your name and your brand behind someone, a product or a service, you need to have some kind of interaction and knowledge of and experience of the person or the product or the service. And I said, it's not that it has to take years or months. It could just be one event where you meet the person and something strikes you about the person. And someone later said, yes, due diligence is all that's necessary. So for me, if you have that connection with someone, you've experienced the someone to the extent that you're confident enough to put your voice, your name, your brand, or whatever it is behind that person, you can do a referral for that person. And I know that professors in uni, for example, it's not every student that they teach for those 4, 5, 6, 7 years in class that they would actually do a referral letter to Harvard, for example. They take these decisions, but again, it's a personal choice and all that. So, it kind of turned into fun. Someone said, at least you can break one law out of 100 and blah, blah. So I said, well, I would ask Prof what he would do. Is it okay? Well, without any interaction about someone, maybe I just read the profile on LinkedIn, I ask a question or two. Is it okay to send out a reference letter about the person? So that's my question. Thank you very much.
Okay. So maybe I'll start with that. So largely, it depends on what the referral is. There are technical references. And if it's a technical reference, maybe somebody wants to know if somebody graduated from a program, if somebody passed through a school, that one is very straightforward. So you just said, okay, this was a student, he took a program here and he finished here and then. So there is a right of a student for even that professor to write that type of reference. So let me say the department. But if it's now a reference at personal level, if you do know this individual, then being just a faculty in a department, or let's say in a university, where you've not actually known that student, in that case, you cannot write that reference. So I would say it comes down to the specifics of that particular reference and what is needed in that. If you are writing for a PhD program, they may ask you, have you worked with each student in a research setting? If you have not had an opportunity of working with that student in a research setting, there is just no way you can write that referral later. And in some cases, if it's a job-related reference, and they're asking you within a job-related setting, how will you rank this individual? And it turns out that this guy was working with you. You know this person, not necessarily within a job setting. So I would say it depends on the specifics of what you are actually writing that later on and what is expected. Tekedia here, we do get a lot of referrals from companies like Facebook and Dangote Cements. Most times it's really something we can write without knowing the students, because we're just trying to confirm that this person attended our program and this is the badge and that's it. And we don't have the capacity to write about the personal character, because most times we don't have the means to assess that. I don't know if that explains, answers your question.
Thank you. It's a perfect answer, Prof. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Then the question on minimum viable products. A minimum viable product is I will call it the minimalistic version of any product or any service. So the real deal here is that no product is perfect. And as we look through our program, there is this curve we call it a product continuum. A product continuum is a hypothesis that products will continuously evolve, will continuously being better, because the needs of customers are not static, they are dynamic. That means that as you are trying to reach what those customers are asking for, the customers are also moving to the next goalpost. And as you are trying to get to the next goalpost, they are moving. But you can never say that I have to be perfect, because even the customers themselves, they are not waiting for you in a state of stasis. So we said that a minimum viable product is a product that is viable enough. It has to be viable, because if it's not viable, you're just wasting your time. And so it has to be minimum. That means it's the minimum viable version of any particular product you may have. So let's say, for instance, you want to have a payment app. In a payment app, the most important viability feature is that it can actually help people make payments. Every other thing, I will call it, is largely marginal. So if that product does not enable people to make payments, it basically means it's not viable. No matter what every other thing that you've added, it's not viable, because the core thesis upon which that product was built upon, which is to enable people to make payments, you are not delivering that at that least version that you are introducing into the market. So is this minimum? But it has to be viable. If it's an educational program, you want to have an educational program that you're going to secondary school to teach, or university, the most important feature that will make it viable is that people will learn something from it. If that feature is not there, no matter every other thing you are doing, the MVP will fail. So the issue is not the sophistication in the product. The issue is not how much effort you put in it. It's not even how long you've been working on it. The real deal is the minimum version of your vision has to offer service and value to people. Otherwise, you will fail in that particular agenda. So as we go through this process of graduation, it's very, very key we understand that no product is perfect. They are still building Microsoft Windows, even though they started in 1975. They are still building Facebook, even though they started many, many years ago. They are still building products in IBM, even though maybe, who knows, a century ago or whatever. There can never be a product that is perfect. But every product must have a viability inflection point. At what point you say, I have not gotten to the destination I need to get, but this is decent enough that the core values I expect customers to get from this particular product, I am delivering that through this product. And we need to make that judgment call to know when it is that good enough so that these products can actually launch into the market. And I'll say, don't wait until everything is perfect, because if everything is perfect, hey, there will not be a need to have your business. So you need to start and then begin to launch, and then you continuously improve. By learning from what the feedbacks are, you go back to the drawing board and continue to revamp that product. So let's take the last one here. iPhone, please go ahead, Michael. Yeah, you need to unmute yourself, please, if you're there. Okay, Michael's iPhone, are you there? I can just take down so that we move into what we have today. Okay, it seems that, go ahead, please.
Prof, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, go ahead.
Okay, so I said, for some of us who are into value services in education, especially offering hands-on laboratory experiences to different institutions, we've tried different models for business to make it valuable to a point where people can begin to pay. We've tried to offer free services for institutions, but we have run into a lot of problems in that revenues are not going up, we are stagnated, and people are not able to fund beyond having the free services. So what do you suggest we do at this time?
It means that the product is not viable yet. So if they get a freebies and they are not interested in paying, that means that it's possible that you are not really offering a product that is fixing an identified friction that can move them into the level of spending their money. And, it's always that confusion. Hey, I have great laboratory equipment. I have great tools. The students are going to be better off using it. But the question here is that, are schools going to pay for you to actually do that? There's no way anybody, I'm not in that field, but one thing I would say here is taking time to understand the real friction those institutions are having. The real challenges they're having. It could be there is no electricity in that university or that college of education or that polytechnic. If they don't have electricity in that place, and you are talking of supplying them laboratory equipment that they need lights to run, it means you are the second level of their needs. The primary one has not been met. And if the primary one has not been met, they cannot graduate to the secondary level. So in engineering, they say you do what they call root cause analysis. Root cause analysis is moving from one domain to extrapolate around the ladder to see how things are happening. So let me tell you something. In our program in Tekedia here, we did synthesis analysis on how we can actually attract people here. We do have a lot of people coming into this program, so many people. And one of the things that is key is the cost of actually watching these videos that we have in the board could actually be more than the cost of, taking the course. You could pay, but you don't have the mobile internet credit to watch. So what value is it? So we started thinking, how do we make it so that when somebody is coming here to watch these videos, that the cost will not be too much. So we don't want you to load 2,000 Naira worth of your data from MTN or Glo or Move Africa in Togo, wherever you are. And you just go to Tekedia website. After 10 minutes, the 2,000 is gone. That experience, you will not forget it. And there is likelihood you will not tell your friend to come and sign up. So we did so many things, compressive analysis, So that if you see our videos, it doesn't consume a lot of credit. Because the problem is not just paying for the cost. Problem is, do you have the money to actually consume what you paid for? And I would say in the laboratory program, ask yourself, do they have electricity? Do they have the necessary condition precedents that, and if they don't, do you now go and partner with one solar provider so that you are deploying that solution? You also getting somebody to man solar. And then both of you can come together as partners, and so that when you are putting those proposals, the solar guy says, okay, they will need 2 million naira to have this, so that you, and then you now see that you can create value by having that solar and then also providing them laboratory equipment, and they can now pay because you can technically demonstrate that the students will get value from it. So that's what I would say there, but it may require having a deeper end-to-end understanding of how your process works so that one can now give you a very, very direct insight. So thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies, and I'm so excited to welcome everyone here to our graduation day and also to these open sections we're also having with Tekedia Capital. Over the next few minutes here, I will be sharing just a very quick presentation titled Time to Build. You know, the constellation of what we have done over the last few weeks comes down to, can we go into the market and provide products and services which can actually help to fix frictions which customers have? Because if we do not actually provide those products and services, we've not done anything. But how can you provide products and services if you do not build? There has never been a great vision without taking an action. There have never been somebody who accomplished something big in this world without taking an action. And taking action turns out to becoming the most difficult parts of our careers. In other words, how do you take that first step? And taking that first step is what makes empires, is what changes families, is what changes careers, is what also transforms companies and nations. Because unless it is done, it has not been done. So, time to build in a world that we love. And I'll take you back to the postulation of Pythagoras. And that postulation of Pythagoras is really the beginning. The beginning, the Greek philosophers try to understand the nature of the universe. What is this universe? What is the world made up of? And they had to go through so many postulations to explain the world to us. And in this program, I explained that I like the postulation of Pythagoras when he said that the world is made up of numbers. He said that the world is made up of numbers because everything in the world is nothing but numbers. That numbers rule the world. Thales said the world is made of water. Heraclitus said the world is made of fire. Without Pythagoras is the real deal. Pythagoras is the guy who gave us the Pythagoras theory that in a right angle triangle, if you take the individual squares of the opposite and adjacent, you sum them together, get the square hypotenuse. He said that the world is numbers. And if we understand numbers in anything that we do, that we are actually going to have the capacity to outperform and to do better in whatever that we do. Because there is a reason for that. If you are a businesswoman and you understand the numbers around your business, you are going to have an edge because you can measure, know what is going on, and upon that, you can actually improve. But if you don't understand the numbers around what you're doing, you are doing a guesswork. Unfortunately, when you are doing a guesswork, there is no opportunity for you to actually improve in whatever you're doing. So the key is the time to build is also the time for us to make sense of numbers. So if you are doing anything that you have not actually brought an element of measurement through numbers, you have to go back to change how you can actually bring an element of measurement. The element of measurement could be, oh, this month I did a business of 600,000 naira. Next month, oh, I did 700,000 naira. Oh, the other month I did 650. Why did this 650 come? Oh, what happened? Oh, okay, I took 2 days because I was sick. So, oh, those 2 days cost me 50,000. So by the time you are looking at the numbers, you now see, and it becomes self-evident. I'll give you a very good example here. I was in the board of a logistics company, a very big one in West Africa. And we're just looking at numbers. And then there was this month, the numbers went down. I said, what happened? And we realized that the truck drivers, most of them are from the northern part of Nigeria, they were actually either in Salah or Ramadan. And that period, they were not available to drive the trucks. And because they were not available to drive the trucks, the company did not do any business within that period. And the numbers went down. And imagine if there was no measurement, you could not have noticed that the next time that road, you need to plan to tell your customers, say, listen, within the next few days, our drivers are not going to be available. Or if they are not going to be available, can you find make contingencies for that period of time? So beginning of everything is that we have to build a little bit of data-centric system, because without that process, we will be unable to actually make sense of anything that we are doing. And as we do that, we have to also pay into the attention a key part of our program here, where we said, as part of beginning to build, we need to understand the frictions that we want to get into. We said that frictions are the challenges which customers have. These are the impediments or the problems that customers have. And because market systems are inherently imperfect in nature, there needs to be a methodology, a process, a framework, a system that make it possible to bring demand and supply, producers and customers, towards a perfect near equilibrium point where they can actually interact. We say that without companies, demand and supply cannot come together because of the problem of information asymmetry. Information asymmetry is essentially saying that customers know something that producers do not know. And producers know something that customers do not know. And if you cannot bring them together, you can't do anything. Somebody is hungry. Another person has food. But assuming there is no restaurant, how are you going to figure out where to eat? And where are you going to figure out where to sell that food? We say that information asymmetry breaks the market system. And the only avenue to overcome that problem is by setting up a company. And then when you now set up a company, you are accomplishing something. And what you are accomplishing is simple and clear. You are building a system which makes it possible that now demand and supply can now come into an equilibrium point where transaction can take place. So, for example, the person who has the food now goes to start a company. Now, the person who needs to eat the food goes to that restaurant, which is a company. And you now pay for that food that you have been served, and that becomes a revenue to the person who has the food. We say that companies are designed to bring those two vectors together, the producers and customers. And that means that the time to build requires understanding the frictions in the market, because we don't just want you to go into the market and start doing A and B without understanding what is the mission that you want to have in that company. And the time to build also includes deepening your capabilities. Capabilities are the things which companies bring to the table to create products and services that customers need. You can't be a very good restaurant entrepreneur if you don't have capabilities. You don't have capabilities how to cook good food, capabilities how to offer customer service, capabilities on how to do all the things that restaurants have to do. The same thing happens in banking. You need to also have capabilities in treasury, have capabilities in customer service, have capabilities in fund management, because those are components of running a good banking system. So the time to build requires getting those frictions well understood and building the capabilities necessary for you to now create products and services which are now needed to overcome the frictions when customers consume them. We've noted too many fundamental elements of that. You have the knowledge, so that you need to acquire knowledge. You need to have that, get capital, get labor, and then you encapsulate them under people, processes, and tools. How do you make sure the people you have are the right set of people? How do you improve the processes that you do business? How do you also build the tools those customers need? You know, taking this thing to the national level without going political, you see that you can have the people, you can have tools, but if the processes are not great, you cannot accomplish much. In Nigeria today, we have the people, very brilliant young people across the country, produced by some of the top leading universities around the world. So these schools we have are great. We also have so many, but our processes are so bad. You know, just today, I read an article that a court has reversed the new tariff for electricity that the government just signed a few weeks ago. So what the court is saying, hey, listen, you cannot increase your price, Kanu Distribution Company. But if you check Kanu Distribution Company, it has been making losses for many years now. If you check the one in Kaduna, it's owing 110 billion naira. If you check the one in Abuja, I think it has even gone bankrupt. Go to Enugu, the same thing. All these discos, maybe except the one in Lagos, all of them are nearly or going bankrupt. Yet, they want to increase their price to serve, to have resources. A judge says no, that it can't happen. So, you now ask yourself, how can you have the people, you have the tools, but the processes that you need, you can't get it. I mean, we're looking at it at the national level, but if you also look at it specifically company level, the same thing. So the organization of the people, processes, and tools are very fundamental in that process of building. Because without these three things entwined and working as expected, the efficiency upon which you can utilize the factors of production will become very difficult. So knowledge, we say, is very vital. Knowledge, we say, is very key, and you can't do without it. And capital, of course, we already know that the labor force, these things are very important. And the part here is innovation is going to be very central. We need to have the moments to create that spirit of innovation. I'm just looking at the parts that all of us here will have an opportunity to come here to co-learn on this business program. Our journey, how do we become leaders in business? How do we become leaders? There is a spirit of innovation. There is that spirit that innovation should drive growth. And then we also understand that it's not just innovation, it's not just growth. There is also an expectation that whatever we do, there will be an element of digital execution. These are the three themes that we have in Tekedia Institute. We believe that through innovation, we can grow. And we also believe that without digital execution, growth cannot happen. And we think also that the relationship of these three vectors are very fundamental and catalytic to drive how efficiently we can combine factors of production to now solve the frictions that customers have. As we do these three things, we want to see how do we move customers, meeting their needs to the level of expectations. The needs of customers are things that customers know they need. You solve them, you are fine. But great companies will go beyond needs of customers. They go at the level of expectations of customers. You've met my needs, but you've not met my expectations. These things are very important. There are things that customers can do for you, but most times you say, sure, that's my needs, but I expected more. But we say that the best of best are businesses that can meet our needs, expectation, and can take us into new journey. There is no way we can become the Zen masters and the Zen leaders of the 21st century without the ability of solving the needs, expectation, and the perceptions of customers. And the greatest companies in the world are companies that focus on meeting the perceptions of customers. In other words, if you go to Kanu, where people need electricity, and there are ways you can deliver that electricity at scale beyond their imaginations. Just like we've noted, when the new generation banks came, they made it possible that you can deposit money in one bank, a branch, and then withdraw the same money in another branch of the same bank. Before then, nobody thought of that possibility. People were meeting the needs of customer banking. People also improved the expectation of customers in banking by saying, instead of spending 4 hours, we can make it possible for you to withdraw your money within an hour. That was an improvement on their needs and expectations. But perception is taking them into a ring they never imagined on that possibility. So innovation opens a new basis of competition. A new basis of competition is saying, how can I come with a product that the vector that is in that product can disqualify every other product in that market? We say you have disrupted your market when you bring a new basis of competition. Think about it. There is a competition of a horse race, and somebody comes with a horse that runs 23 miles per hour. Another person comes with one that runs 27 miles per hour. And then somebody comes with a jet fighter that moves in thousands of miles per hour. That means that race from Lagos to Ibadan, somebody is coming with a jet fighter, another person is coming with a horse. We say that there is no more basis of comparison because the jet fighter will get from Lagos to Ibadan faster than the horse will get from Lagos to Ibadan. So in innovation, you are creating a product that can disqualify whatever exists in the market. And when you do that, we say your innovation is disruptive. It turns out that disruptive innovation belongs to the level of perception. You are changing the order which exists. And then you are bringing a new basis to compare competitiveness of firms. And you are disqualifying whatever existed. When you are trying to build, on that time to build, you think about these things, understanding that only the few can get into that level. We say when you are here, you have achieved an element of fandom. You meet consumers here, you meet customers here, you meet fans. Those customers are now fans. They believe in you. They become apostles to talk about your products. So when you get a company like Apple, iPhone, you look at products like YouTube, look at some of these category shaping Indomie noodles. These are businesses that their customers are fans. Indomie noodle is beloved by many people. That even if you hold flour mills noodle, you say, I have my Indomie. Because they have built into the minds of customers a perceptive level and they have become category kings. So we have gone through so many things over the last 13 weeks in this program. And I'm hoping that through so many of these models, we have deepened our capabilities, especially these elements, because you need capabilities of frictions. And when we now aggregate, combine them, we can actually go and do something great. We can do something great. Because time for action, it's not just somebody promoting you to a job title and you are still doing the same thing you are doing when you are in the previous level. I say they have just changed the title of a job. A real promotion comes when the first day you are going into that job, you may not have actually been ready on day one, but you know that you have inherent capabilities that you can actually step in and lead. When somebody is giving you a job as promotion for something you'll be ready 100% on day one, it's not a promotion. You need to take that moment to say, hey, you know, I have been a GM for a very long time now, but after this program, I want to be a director. I have been just as an assistant for a long time. After this program, I think it's time to build. I want to build this career at a higher level. I want to be an associate. I have been a senior bank officer. Now I want to move to the next level as a deputy manager. The point I'm making here is it's time to build a career. It's time to build a company. It's time to now see how you can begin that journey of growth. That journey of growth, as we explained on Thursday, was like taking a trip. And when you are taking a trip, you need to consider along the path of that trip, what do I need at the destination? What are the things I need on the trip? How do I know when I'm on the right path of that trip? How do I even know when I am not? So that at the end of the day, even when I'm on that trip from Lagos to Ibadan, I know when I'm missing my road, I know when I need to recalibrate. You need to calibrate, know it, and then you move into it. That is the time to build. Building this career thing is a very focused thing that we have to look into. So as we do that, have something great in your resume. Have something great in your resume. In the Igbo nation, there is this proverb that says that it takes the killing of one leopard to be called a killer of leopards. You just need to kill one leopard once, and they will now recognize you as a man who has killed many leopards. And what that means is, have you got a ring in the Champions League? Jose Mourinho. Many people here, of course, are experts. That's what I can be. And this guy, he's a football coach. As in FC Porto, which is a team in Portugal, he won the Champions League. I think he defeated a team in France. So one South African guy, I think, was playing for him that time from a team nobody really knows. Nobody really knows him. Just a very low ranked team. And he went and he won Champions League. And when he won that Champions League, he has a medal. He has a ring. They have been recycling him. They've recycled him to Chelsea, to Real Madrid, to so many other, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, to Chelsea, to Manchester United, I think SK Roma or whatever. The reason why they keep going back is if Jose was able to win the Champions League, he can always win it again. And that is the way the world is built. That if you can get a ring once, a win, a big win, they will keep coming back even when you say you want to have some peace. That's why they will go to the CEO who is on retirement, ask him to come back. Or has so many people are waiting for the opportunity to become CEO. They'll go to that ED and say, ED, you need to come back. They'll go to that lady and say, oh, please, you need to come and lead this band. Because the person has won on something. And when you have won in the market, it becomes a virtuous cycle. That virtuous cycle means it's a loop. Oh, it's just like the lady, what's her name? Is it Basi? That was the cooking chef leader in Nigeria. I think there was a time she won the Guinness World on cooking. I think something Basi, just forgetting her name. Yeah, so because she won, they have been doing one thing, recycling her. She's now a very great entrepreneur because she won something. And the gentleman that played Chelsea in New York, he's also works on. And the guy who helped the bank to close a very important deal won something, and the bank will never forget that. And the person working in the cement company that helped them to redesign their packaging. You know, those things are all evolutions of innovation. If you look at the way the bags of cement used to look and the way they have repackaged them in Nigeria today, people are playing roles in those things. So when you have this consistency of service, of excellence, you have a winning history against your name. Even once, that is also how you can build up that career, because the best time to get the best promotion is when there is no promotion opportunity advertised. But people will remember that this person has a winning pedigree and they can always call you into that moment. So as that happens, identify some paths to winning. The first phase is ask yourself, what is the essence? It could be a business. What is the essence of this business? What are the things that I need to do in this particular business? And the next phase is, how do I accumulate the capabilities I need to thrive in that business? It's not just understanding what the opportunities are. You also have to ask yourself, what are the capabilities I need? And then when you have that, move into that product phase, you begin to test, to validate the hypothesis upon which that business was started. You execute, helping customers. You win. You move into the next frontier. You can refine it. And as you do that, that growth, that development continues to happen. You see, it doesn't mean that you have to be a founder of going to start up a business. No. You could be in a multinational company. You could be in a very big company. But you have figured out that my job is to be a customer service person. But I want to do this customer service to the very best that I will innovate on how we handle customer service. I have one single philosophy as a young man when I was growing up, that any person I work for should be the best boss in his or her own level. So if I'm in your team, my aspiration is not to compete with you. You are the boss. I don't really have any ambition. Say, oh, I become. No, it's just like a village boy. I don't have that kind of this thing. Oh, okay. Oh, he's this head of the department. What if it's me? No, I'm not interested. I would say I want you to be the best head of department, so that when you go in the community of your colleagues, they will know that you are great. And if they know you are great, they know that ND works under you. So if I can help you to be the best among your colleagues, there is no way the natural system, how the world works, you will not remember me. So I say, boss, you've not written article in Guardian all these months. Can we work on one? I said, okay. Hey, you started. So, oh, I just see how, okay, the CEO said we should return this report. At the meeting you asked me to follow, you have drafted the minutes and what we're supposed to do. Can you review? He is still really thinking how he's going to do that. I've already, he looks at it. Then instead of waiting maybe 4 days, I mean, he has other things he has to do. But if I can sneak in that report quickly within a day, and he can submit it maybe 3 days earlier, his own supervisor will know, oh, this is the guy I should be taking to management meeting in my own division. Because anytime there is a need for a feedback, he's the first person that gets this thing. And then my own boss will say, who makes this thing possible? Oh, Andy is following me. Anytime he comes, you get this report. So without competing for anything, you have biased the whole system to favor you. Because he knows that if you follow him to that meeting as an observer from his own small unit, you are going to make him look better before his boss. And his boss also knows that if he himself follows him, he's also going to make him before. As that happens, you have created a system where you have positioned yourself to win within that organization. But if you are in the spirit, oh no, let me frustrate him so that he'll be fired, so that I will. Unfortunately, within his own boss, all of you are failures. All of you are failures. Nobody there is smart. Whether you are working hard or not, if your boss is not performing, it may even be very difficult for you to execute that you're special. And what happens in most companies is they shut down that department, shut down that unit, and all of you loses a job. In short, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in life was going to work in America, and everyone is checking whether their badges. You know, in America, to fire somebody, you don't need to pray. All you just need is send a list, because they do this thing like they are not human beings. They say they want to fire 10,000 people in a day. They check it. They have HP, Intel, even I think how many thousands is up. They can fire 10,000 in a day. And what that means is you went to work last night. You're coming to work 8 a.m. the next day, your badge is no more working because nobody has even informed you that you have been laid off by 1 a.m. in the night when the management was having a meeting. It is as it is. That's what the contract says. As it is. Nothing. But how do you become that special person to build that career? That means that we need to do more than just what every other person is doing. And as we look at this thing, I also want to point out here that there are many dimensions of opportunities. That everything we have, I mean, look at agriculture, look at healthcare, it's not just about digital technology, look at energy. We're just talking about here about the issues of the ruling of the court with the price of electricity. We look at real estate. These things are all dimensions of opportunities. But we can only tap into them if we can organize these factors in a way that we can create products at level and scale that can help us to execute in order to fix the frictions that customers have. So pay attention to massive shifts as you are also building. Massive shifts. What worked today may not work tomorrow. And what worked tomorrow may not work next year. In a piece in Harvard, you can just Google it, where I made this postulation that Africa is wasting massive level of effort in trying to mimic the developmental paradigm of China. African Union reach out and asking, been explaining certain things, working. I just say, hey, listen, if Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria aspires to recreate what China did 40 years ago because it worked for China, I'm saying that it's very, very late. Because if China becomes richer as a country in terms of income or salaries of workers, the postulation from Africa is Western Europe will start outsourcing jobs to Africa because China becomes more expensive for them to do things. But in my work, I said, no, that what is going on here, actually was even before this era of AI. Because if you look at that piece, my model was based on robotics. I say that the future jobs which will be created in America are most likely going to be done by robots. And they may not even need to outsource them. So if China becomes expensive, those jobs will be created in America and Western Europe, so they don't need to send it to Africa. So the hypothesis that you are going to wait for them to outsource jobs for you to develop your economy is already dead on arrival because that will not happen. And a lot of think tanks reach out and I say, listen, that we're going to have a massive dislocation because the jobs of the future, we are not competing with China, United States, we're going to compete with machines. So the point is, as we build our careers, how are those shifts going to affect our careers? How are those shifts going to affect the companies? Productivity and digitization. Look at Google. They laid off 200 core engineers last week. These are the untouchables. These are the elite engineers that you can find in Google. These are young men and women. They are considered to be special. I work in analog devices. I was a design engineer. Your colleagues that in the same company will tell you, hey, don't you know you are a designer? What that means is designers are the highest, they are the highest species in the company. They are respected, they are paid better, they are pampered because you have to design the circuits before the person that will sell the product will sell it. And if you are not motivated, nothing happens. Designers are the engines of the company. They are, you could get into a job with someone and with a degree in another department. You could be earning $140,000 while they are not even paying that other degree guy up to 60,000. And when they are doing that, they're giving you stock option because they just want their designers to be happy. You're going to be few of you. Google laid off 200 core team members. They said that was the first time because these are the same people they battle to keep. Why? Because if you used to need 2,000 guys to do that project with AI now, You just need about 10 people. AI can make sense of what the other 1,900 and so can do. And that is a kind of a positive. The more productive these AI systems are making us, the more they are also displacing us and firing us at work. Look at Snapchat, laying off people, Google laying everywhere. Apple, what's happened there as they introduce AI? Oh, you guys used to be 100 people. We now need only 3 people in that. This is the shift. And as you look at time to build, think about how you're building that career, because this is just the start. People, you're going to see a one-person company that is a unicorn. That means the company is valued at $1 billion, and only one person is working on it. You know, the Kardashian, the Kardashian lady, one of the Kardashians, she started a company, the Coach, which she grew up to $1 billion. But I would not call that the real deal, because according to her, of course, she outsourced the perfume production and then she just used only her social media as a marketing department, and she outsourced the distribution of the product. But according to her, it's just only about 3 people. So 3 of them, they were able to build a $1 billion company in 3 years. But I'm saying in the next maybe decade, we're going to have one person that built $1 billion because of the level of productivity that we are seeing in the market. Then customer behavior is also going to be a very big one. And we are going to see massive shifts. Customers are not going to be static. You've already seen, just looking at your community, how people are adapting, people are changing. Business environment, you're going to see online. You know, these are things that we should just expect in this world. A lot of businesses are going to move online. So as you are building, also think how you adapt as a career person or as a business into those possibilities. Partnerships remains a key part of business. It's not everything that you have to build by yourself. If somebody is doing it and you can strike partnership with that person, hey, customers are also there. They're expecting that products have to come at a level that they can afford. Look at Nigeria sachetization. They are distributing milk in sachets. Look at detergents are coming in sachets. And look at the pricing of stock. In Robinhood in the United States, you can buy Apple with $1, $2, just like the same way they sell Bitcoin. You don't need all the 64,000, whatever, to buy one Bitcoin. It's now broken that even with $10, you can buy. This is a shift. How is your own product going to adjust to those shifts? You cannot just lump everything and say, oh, if they don't afford it, let them go. No, you can't do it. So there is going to be new basis of competition as customers adapt to this fragmentation, to this tokenization. You need to have that. And I also like to note here, as already here, what is your strategy? And that strategy does not need to be popular. You know, I put out an article today on I think 2 articles on Temu and the Shein. These are Chinese e-commerce companies in the United States. But those companies have taken over some segments in the United States. A lot of people are saying, oh, their products are not high quality. I said, but that is really the business. With high level of unprecedented inflation in the United States, many families don't have money to go to shop in JCPenney, Macy's, and Amazon, where you buy high quality products, but you need to spend your paycheck to do that. They are just looking at things they can just go on with, even if it's not high quality. And the Chinese saw it, and they are delivering the products, and sometimes just 10% of what you would have bought it in Amazon. So that is not high quality is not a problem. That it is indeed high quality because the pricing points they are selling these products makes it really, really great. So recall the lecture we had on minimum viable quality. I think that should be our week 2, where I explained how Chinese companies have become the makers and the manufacturing capital of the world. And they did not do that by using the old fixated, monstrous mindset that quality is supreme above everything. That the conspicuous Chinese international penetration strategy is based on this construct that quality has to be bounded and in correlation with price and value. So if I make this plate, it costs 1,000 naira. And another one makes a plate and costs 200 naira. Their values are not the same, but they are plates. There are people who may not afford the 1,000, but they can afford the other. And that is market. So business model is going to be very, very important for us to actually be in a position to win in this 21st century. So the time to build, either as an entrepreneur or as a career person in your career, is to understand that there are massive level of business models and the massive level of evolutions in business model. The biggest thing a company needs to thrive is the business model it defines. CEOs are tasked to come up with the right business model. The boards of companies hire CEOs and executive management to commit a company to a business model. But the business model we run is never in a state that it is frozen. Market changes, customer preferences will always influence our business model. But let us not have this mindset as we grow that it has to be this way, because that's the way it has been. So we don't make caricature of the Chinese who are bringing new things and they are winning the world. And that new thing, they are winning the world. It's to a large extent the things that we need to learn, because the supremacy of a business model is driven on how customers' needs are met and how you can capture value in that business model. Recall, I think I shared a link also in the lecture material, that it is not the sophistication of the product that is key. It is the ability to deliver a service to customer and capture value in that promise. Many companies in Nigeria have collapsed over the last 9 months because of one thing. Many of the startups were built on one premise, that they will grow customer base and they will be raising money from investors. But when no investor wanted to invest from abroad because we are not sure of how the Naira will turn out, that could not happen. You know what happened? Because they are not capturing value from customers and they are unable to raise money, they have no mission. So you need to look at that as we move in that. So winning past digitization is going to be key. We'll not take that. We've seen that so many things are happening in our world, and hoping that, and then also winning digital. And I said it's the winning in that digitization framework is about trust. You need to develop a spirit. You need to develop a persona. We look at it here in a lecture where we said webinar, your personalization plus web, your webinality. Your webinality is saying, what is the digital trust that you are injecting into your community? How do you have the opportunity to build that career, that business, if the world is moving digital and you've not invested in building that digital trust? And when that person goes to Google, he puts your name or the name of your brand. What thing that tells him, if this company is offering this service, I am going to open my wallet and pay, because I am so assured that I'm not going to be on the wrong path. But if you have not invested in building that digital trust that is unbounded, unconstrained by any other thing than Google and Bing and all the search engine, how do you plan to win that digital race? You have to make those concerted efforts, because going to business school today is not just about getting a certificate. It's about understanding how you can win in the future. That a single one professional article on LinkedIn under your by name can open up opportunity for a job in Dubai that you have not even known that exists. So the issue here is a world of opportunity and a world that is very, very powerful. So we also look at some other things. I think let me just look at time here. Okay, we have 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop very, very just soon. I also say that where possible, focus on how do you control demand? How do we influence demand over supply? In the digital space, the world is full of supply. There is nothing you want on content that is not available free somewhere. But the biggest challenge is in that massive level of supply, everyone is confused. So power has shifted from the people who supply to people who control demand and influence demand. Let me make it very simple. 1980, in Nigeria, if there was a breaking news, you can only wait for Google, for Guardian, Punch, This Day, and whatever newspaper there may be there, Punch to report it. That's it. If the editor and the publisher, if they decide to kill the news, we don't read anything because they were the king makers who control the news. They were the gatekeepers. So in that time, supply of news and the supplier of news, the gatekeepers control. They decide. And of course, because advertisers know that everyone that needed to learn about that news has to go through them. So the Guardian and all of the Vanguard, they became very powerful. New York Times in New York, Boston Globe and all those companies, all the newspapers. But today, supply of news is now so huge because WordPress, blogs, Twitter, Instagram, there's so many avenues that news can, if there is a breaking news in Nigeria, can be populated. So the question now is no more the supply. The issue, who can make sense of the best place to get that news? Aggregators like Google, Nairaland, and such ecosystem like Twitter, they now become the dominant players, disintermediating the supply of the news. You know what those companies have in common? They have demand. They control demand. They influence those users on Facebook and Google. And that is where the market is shifting. So if you are now moving into this whole framework of building, you ask yourself, does that Guardian have a future? Or where is that future because of the nature of the geography of the business system? Of course, we also have this internationalization model that at the end of it all, we can always see that all digital fintech companies will have a payment system. And I think rounding up here, remember these things. To have great companies, we need to have a spirit of innovation. We need to build inspiring products. We need to have a section with customer service. And we need to have a ruthless, pragmatic framework where the way we say it will be, that's the way to be. That innovation is fundamental and catalytic because innovation does really two things. Improves value in terms of efficiency and service and performance, even sometimes it reduces cost. Customers want to see more value over time. And then inspiration means they use your product, they learn something, they value the time you have put into that product and how that product has actually made them better because they have friction. We said that frictions in fundamental physics and basic physics is a force. It's resistive in nature. Go back to integrated science in JS2, second year in secondary school. They always have this picture where there is that friction with a small arrow pointing towards you. And to overcome that friction, another force pointing the opposite direction has to overcome that. So how have you been able to overcome their frictions? And that means that giving them products which inspire them and do that very thing. An obsession means you serve them today, are you going to serve them tomorrow? And then bring in an element of this thing. And if we do that at this last page, I think hopefully you're going to see, I use this graph a lot, and what that shows is you can see growth. I like to say that because the greatness of America and China today, what they have accomplished is not by fiat. It's not given. You could see that for more than 1,500 years, the GDP of the United States was frozen. For China, the GDP was also frozen for more than 1,600 years. But at the time came, the GDP of the United States went parabolic, the GDP of China went exponential. What that shows is they have to do something for that to happen. For that to happen. You can now ask yourself, oh, my revenue has been frozen, not growing for years. What do I need to do to grow that revenue? And just the same way a country like Nigeria can say, we've not really made any impact in the last 50 years. And GDP, I mean, American GDP is close to $30 trillion. I mean, at least 27 trillion, 30 trillion, thereabout, depending on the one that you use. Nigeria is stuck, I think they say it's even 250 billion. But the US population is about 100 million more than Nigeria population. So if you do a synthesis analysis, let's assume that US GDP is 25 trillion. If you divide it by 2, you are still, at least Nigeria needs to have a GDP at least 10 trillion. How can you compare 10 trillion with 250 billion? It means that we are stuck and lost without driving an element of transformation. So question is, how do you drive this? There are things each of these countries, and some of those things we've discussed them in this class. Of course, at the company level, comes down to innovation. How do we move from an invention society mindset into an innovation society mindset? It means not just talking about problems, but actually going into the market to create products and services to solve that. There are companies that have these dossier of knowledge base, but they don't have products and services. You cannot be like that. And that's the point we're trying to make. So I want to thank you so much for joining us in this program. And now we can go and win the future. And I say ready to lead because, of course, this is the last for this section of Tekedia, Mini-MBA. And say jobs, so many great things happen through that. We got so many feedbacks from our co-leaders. And I would say that if you want to join us, another one is starting in June, I think June 3rd. You get a 50% discount with alumni member. It's an alumni discount. If you're registering for once this thing, you get it's 45,000 instead of 90,000. Whatever the price is, we give you 50% discount. And the capstones and things. And also give us a referral to your colleagues at work, friends, associates. The certificates will be ready from tomorrow. I think they've already uploaded it and done the needful. But so as soon as we finish this, please just send an email to admin. Just send it once. And if you send it again, the way the system is done, that instead of you getting it, it takes you back. So it's first in, first out. So just send it once. If they don't respond within 3 days, which is rare, please, I promise you that they will respond with it. But if they don't, you can resend and remind them. So I want to thank everyone for joining us and co-learning with us. And so I can now take some questions. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations once again. Thank you for graduation. So let's take question. Humphrey, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Prof. Thank you once again for another very inspiring lecture. Can you hear me, sir?
Absolutely, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question is this. In view of high rate of inflation in Nigeria and also the hostile business environment, how best can managers and business owners manage their business processes to remain profitable and sustainable, sir? That's my question.
Yeah, so it's a very big one. But I also say here the fact that our systems are very stochastic and our probability models are non-deterministic. Just allow me to enjoy my. Is this a statistics? So it's non-deterministic and stochastic. Sometimes you need to speak this grammar to your grandma so that they know that you actually went to school.
That's true, sir.
Otherwise, you will say, hey, am I wasting money sending you to secondary school? So the point is, the fact that Nigeria is not just the way we want it. It's actually the reason why we have opportunity. If everything is perfect, hey, we'll have Warren Buffett investing billions of dollars. And when Warren Buffett invests billions of dollars, you know what happens? We may not have the opportunity that we have today. The real deal here, I believe, is going back to the numbers. As managers need to take time to understand the drivers which are driving their businesses. If you don't understand the drivers shaping your business, there is just no way you can overcome the paralysis in the country. The challenges we have in Nigeria does not mean that opportunities are not in Nigeria. It's just for you to understand how those challenges affect your own business. And if you understand it very well, you can now figure out how to mitigate. And, you know, there was a time a lot of people were saying that Bitcoin needs ETF, electronic, that's a traded fund, to make it big. So Grayscale, there were so many of these companies that were fighting for ETF because they were doing it, they were not regulated. Then all of a sudden, the Security and Exchange Commission approved Bitcoin, BTC ETF. And when it was approved, BlackRock got ETF. BlackRock manages $9.02 trillion globally. One of the largest fund manager in the world. It's the company that owns the largest number of stocks and everything property in the world. 9-point-something trillion, not billion. Now, Fidelity, one of the largest asset managers in the world. So all of a sudden, those guys who were asking for SEC regulation, they had been squeezed because maybe they had their $3 billion, but now you now have a fund manager that has 9 trillion. So, as I wrote, I said, hi, how they knew that if the SEC should legalize this ETF stuff, that a new vector of competitors will come. And when those competitors come, they will actually become bankrupt. So some of those pioneers of ETF that were succeeding small, most of them are gone. Some of them are struggling because the real guys with money are now in business. So that's the same way with Nigeria. Don't think today that it has to be perfect before you can play. Because if everything is perfect, there are people who are not interested in Nigeria. If everything is perfect, they will come, and you may be unable to compete. So I challenge you as a manager, go into your business, look for the real catalytic factors which can shape whatever you do. Identify them. And if you identify them, focus on them. Like you're running an online business. One of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria is trust. Somebody wants to buy from you. Is that person really sure you will deliver as promised? And if you don't deliver, how does that person get his money? If you can just solve that problem, you reduce inertia by more than 80%. I mean, inertia is like people's fear of not changing their position not to pay. And you make it say, listen, I'll pay you. So let's take into that. Yeah. Okay, let's take the next one here. Go ahead, please, Onyeka. Okay, sorry, Raymond is actually for Onyeka. Go ahead, Raymond.
All right, folks, thank you very much, and good evening from here. So please, can you throw more light on the difference between recording growth in a company and then scaling up a business? Hello, Prof. Did you hear me?
Okay, sorry, I didn't even know I'm muted. So growth, it's largely the same as scaling, but the difference is that when you scale, your cost grows slower than your revenue. But if you are just growing, you are scaling costs and revenue at the same rate. So let's say that For me to call that growth scaling, I may say that if your revenue has grown from 3% to 10%, and the cost to create that revenue has grown from, let's say, 3 to, let's say, 9, I would say that you're just growing. But if you have moved the revenue to 10% and the cost is, let's say, 4%, I'll say that you are scaling. Scaling is saying that you are adding growth in revenue or users or customers, but you are improving on your unit economics, which means that the extra customers you are bringing, you may not necessarily have to increase cost at the same rate as you are actually growing the customer or the revenue. Are you understand the point I'm making? So there is a difference.
Yes, I do understand.
Yeah, so that's the difference. So growth is saying, I'm throwing money into the business and I'm getting customers. And any day I stop throwing money, the customer growth will also drop. But scaling is saying, I'm really adding little amount of money, but I'm getting huge number of customers. So we say that scaling, just like you look at a lecture, I think it's lecture 3, where we discuss scalable advantage. Now, the scalable advantage of a company is how the marginal cost competitiveness of a company improves. What is marginal cost? Marginal cost is the cost of serving an additional user in a business. If the marginal cost in a company asymptotically tends towards 0 towards infinity, that means as you are growing, the cost of serving an additional customer drops. It means that your unit economics is improving. And when your unit economics is improving, you are going to be a scalable business. That means that growth will not be constrained by cost, because cost is not going to grow out of hand. That's what that means. So let's go to Onyeka, please. Right. Okay. You need to unmute yourself, please. And
okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
So, my question is about pricing. Good evening. So, the way things are, it's really difficult for African founders and builders to really compete with their counterparts in the rest of the world. And then in the meantime, all we can do is just use what we have and see how we can, do our businesses and try to compete however we can. And it's quite easier for people who are already founders, who are not first-time founders, but for first-time founders who are building stuff for the first time, it's usually difficult for them, and especially if they are non-technical, because it's difficult for people to trust them, what they're doing, and there's really no practical way for them to show that what they want to build will work, since they are not technical. So my question is about how do people really go about it when you are a non-technical person and you want to build something and you got to get people around to trust that what you want to do is really feasible?
Okay, so I hope I understood well, but let me say here from the letter I understood, because the network wasn't good. If you are starting a company and you don't have a technical founder, it's a very bad thing. I mean, because the number one thing in a product is that it has to be built. And if you don't have somebody that will build it, it makes no sense. So you, at minimum, you need to have a technical co-founder. And remember, this word technical doesn't mean techie. If you are running a consulting company, a strategy consulting company, the technical founder, in my definition, is that person who has an experience in strategy consulting, because that's the main person who understands the techniques of that particular trade. And not you who may have a mastering of the skill of Python or C++. In that case, you are not the technical co-founder, because you don't understand the techniques of strategy consulting. But if you are building a fintech company, you who does Python and C++ becomes the technical founder, while that strategy consulting person is not. So the point is respect and understanding what is key. In secondary school, I was not a good football player, but I ruled the classroom. But I understood one thing, that if we go to the class, you give me my respect. But if we also go to the pitch, I defer to my classmates because they are the ones that representing the school in the football tournament. So the issue here is your position here is not frozen. You could be the leader here. In another scenario, you're not the leader. If you are building a technical-based company and you don't have a technical founder, we don't think that the team is complete. So what I'll ask you to go and look for someone who has that skill, make him a co-founder. It makes it easy for you to actually get something, because you may not have the money to hire the best. And if you don't have the money for the best, how do you build it? So it's as simple as ABC. Get somebody you can give equity and make him, let him come and build it, and you guys can come together and make something great. Then the issue of difficulties on raising capital, it wasn't necessarily as difficult as it is now, maybe 2 years ago. But I think since last year, because of the gyration of the Naira, nobody knows where Naira will settle. And that's also the reason why yesterday I said the government should focus on stabilizing Naira, not fighting for Naira to come down. Because if Naira does not stabilize, nobody can make investment. But if Naira stabilizes, even if it's at 1,010, 1,030, 1,040, whatever it is, investors will say, okay, it has stabilized at 1,030, 1,300 or whatever. Let's make an investment decision based on 1,300. But let it be there and frozen for months instead of it just keeps going up, making the investment decision. Then after that, actually, after I made that post last week, you saw the deputy CBN governor, Mr. Abala, he wrote something that they want to have a nuanced policy on the stability. So a lot of people are making that point, and we are very confident that if CBN can focus on stabilizing Naira, not just fighting the rate, the good thing that will happen is that Naira stabilizes and investor will start investing in young people like you, and that fund will start coming down. Yeah, I mean, that fund will start being available. Let's go to Kingsley, please. We just have about 6 more minutes, and I continue to say congratulations, everyone. You are ready to lead, win into the future, and thank you so much for collaborating with us over the last 12 weeks. So go ahead, Kingsley, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. It's been an exciting journey all through those weeks. I just wanted to ask, you had mentioned something, BlackRock, Fidelity, these guys beginning to position themselves for like maybe what's like the post Bitcoin halving and everything. Well, back here in Nigeria, you find out that I think there was a circular released 2 days ago, that cryptocurrencies and all this is blocked again in Nigeria. So Nigeria keeps going back and forth. Next 2 months, we'll hear they've allowed again. So I just want to ask, how can we engage these regulators? Because I watched the video recently on how the House, in the US was explaining the benefit of Bitcoin, or even not even generally Bitcoin, but the blockchain technology. How do we engage investors? How do we engage, regulators in Nigeria, to see the benefits of blockchain technology? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that has happened in Nigeria is we are no more a country where we can have a debate. And that is the reason why things are no more working. And it's very, very unfortunate, because I personally feel bad about it. As a young man in the banking sector many years ago, I was working on my PhD in banking and finance. My job was to look at global currency and an international business. Diamond Bank funded that PhD program. This is the page that Central Bank of Nigeria had, what they call working papers. Even that time, there was really no internet per se. So you come here, you just pick a lot of things, what the Central Bank of Nigeria was thinking about. Their PhDs were writing papers, and when they write, professors will challenge them. And there was a very hefty conversation and debate on monetary policy, macroeconomic stuff. But you know what? 2015, Nigeria stopped publishing the working papers. So the CBN now moved into circulars, where they will just wake up in the morning, drop a circular, and within 2 months, they'll reverse themselves on the same circular. That rigorous, analytical, data-focused paper they used to write, where people will go and read to understand how CBN, just look at this one, 41 pages. This is the kind of stuff. So you will understand what they were trying to do. But the Central Bank of Nigeria, since that 2015, stopped it. And since that time, actually, I say that since that time, that was also when Naira started having these difficulties. Because they are no more analytical. They are no more thorough. They don't even think deep into what they are doing. It's more of how do they feel in the morning. They drop the circular, and the next week they drop, forget, because it's no more thought through. And that is the challenge. There is just no way you can engage. When, as we started this program, I said, Pythagoras say numbers. That is the beginning. If we can't do analytics to come up with policy decision, we are doing guesswork. And that's the same thing that happened with the removal of the fuel subsidy. The new leadership on the day of inauguration removed fuel subsidy. Before that was supposed to happen, somebody would have said, what are going to be the implications of removing fuel subsidy? What are going to be the welfare losses? The welfare loss is the impact on the citizens. Somebody has to model it. I mean, guys, I'm not a political person, I'm non-partisan. But what I'm telling you here is these are things that as a person I have written extensively, and also, so you model that policy framework, and you now ask yourself, what are going to be the implications? So we didn't do that. Then we also floated the currency, and when the time you floated the currency, the same thing essentially also happened. It is difficult for any human being to actually work on that. And for the last 10 years or so, Nigeria has been doing that. And that makes it nearly impossible for anybody to actually play any significant role. Yeah, so let me show you this policy paper. This was when Nigeria and the African Union was debating the implication of having one currency in Africa. Yeah, so this was my specialty in my PhD, banking and finance. And I wrote a lead paper and actually challenged with data the African Union, saying that if you do this, there will be massive welfare losses across the African continent. That the best thing to do was to allow prior convergences of regional economics before we can actually have one simple African currency. And the thing there that they look at it, and the African Union Congress, they approved that they should pass it. So if you go to the African Union website, that paper was written in 2009, they still leave it there, but they distributed it and even translated it into French and Portuguese. And so central bank used to have equivalent thing in their working papers, but we don't have it. And that is why circulars now have become the means of communication. We have to just ask governments, let them return back so that before these policy changes are made, our scholars, especially those the economics department universities, can see what they are thinking, provide some input, because that was what was happening. CBN writes a policy working paper. You see some group of PhD guys in ABU Zaria and their professor. Within 2 weeks, they will challenge them by saying, this model you have you considered the impact of this? And then the CBN will now reformulate their models. And Naira was really solid. I mean, I'm telling you, Naira was not losing value. They retained it because there was an academic conversation. But today, it's all about circular. And circular means there is no basics to question what is driving that policy. I mean, guys, I'm not a political person. I don't want you to feel I'm just saying the way that I feel that those working papers return. And if they return, you know what happened? You have an opportunity to engage the government, because you can now counteract their own assumptions by having your own paper questioning the hypothesis. And if you do, they are experts. They will also look at it and say, oh, we just realized that all these Bitcoin guys, they are not even causing trouble because they are moving less than 0.1% of Nigeria international transfer. What will be the impact of 0.01% on the transfer? Seems significant. Let's allow these guys to do their stuff, provided their total volume does not cross 1% of the total transfers we are making in a month. You can have a benchmark on that. But we don't have data because there's no working paper. And that's why we're having this conversation in a way that is not very, very helpful. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Olaide, please. Go ahead. We're actually out by 2 minutes. Sorry, you don't want to make this graduation too. Yeah, go ahead, Olaide. Go ahead. Okay, if you're not there, we can take Omaka, please go ahead, Omaka, if you're there, so that we need to be out of here in 2 minutes. Okay. Oh, great. So it seems that we cannot get them. So
thank you,
just
Prof.
want to thank every. Oh,
Prof, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I was not mute. I was not muted. Okay, I was muted. All right. Thanks so much, Prof. It has really been quite an insightful journey with you. Even though all of us were not readily available, but the few times we joined the class, it's a life-changing experience. Talking with you. My major the major question I want to ask this evening is the post you wrote about these two China companies that are competing with Amazon and the rest of them. Prof, you brought a geopolitical power stuff to it when you said very soon now you're expecting the US, the Congress to start talking about it, about labor issues and stuff like that. Now, how does this, where does Africa, where does Nigeria come in? How does that really affect the economy and our prowess to succeed and to remain relevant in the whole economic system? Because America is a superpower, China is a superpower, and some of us that
I think I understand your question. So let me say this. They say that nobody takes you seriously if you don't take care of your home. I think that's an African proverb in that line. It's not really about what is Africa contributing at that global level power play. The challenge we have is largely self-inflicted. But United States and China, there is a collision course. They are trying to get to who is going to be the leader of the free world maybe in 20, 30 years. So we can't always be talking about Africa, but we're not doing basic things. Just look at it. We're not just doing basic things. And those basic things, they don't even require a president. They don't require a governor. You know, just look at how young people are stealing money in people's bank. Look at the challenges Kuda, OPay, PAMPay are having. The level of fraud we are seeing in the banking sector is so unprecedented. Even though they will ask for your BVN, they will ask for your NIN number. I explained here that what people are doing now, even people that have dead people are now sending the BVN and the NIN number of their dead family members to crooks. So that when the police starts investigation, you just realize that the person who stole the money is dead. You know, there's also a case people go and villages, gather villages, give them 10,000, get BVN and NIN number. Now use those assets to go and commit fraud. And when the police start looking, they say, oh, this person is in this video. You go there, just one guy who is always drunk. That's the guy that committed the fraud. It's not a president that will solve that problem. It's just like, as a country, somebody has to say, guys, it's enough. And that's the reason. And that's things are happening. So our challenge is not geopolitical now. Our problem is just at home. How can we even fix the ones that we can fix? Until we can deal with that, we should not be worrying ourselves how America, how Europe, or how China sees us. It's just unprecedented. If you see the turmoil in these fintech companies now, you don't blame CBN. You don't blame CBN because if you have 20 cases of fraud, and you know, let's not go into that. But the key thing here is that all of us, we have obligations to actually make this Nigeria workable and good for everyone. Instead of so that is a challenge we have. Let's leave China and America because we've not taken care of our home, so we cannot even exert any influence globally. So let's take Olaide. Can you unmute now so that we can get out of here. Can you unmute? Okay, it seems you cannot mute and you cannot type. If you can type your question, I think I should be in a position to take it. That should be the last one because sorry that we don't usually like to. Yeah. So, gentlemen and ladies, please remember that. Okay, go ahead. Okay, please remember that you have. Okay, go ahead now if you're there. Okay, great. Sorry, it's not working. You have access for the next months from the start day. I want to wish you once again and say congratulations and thank you so much for co-learning with us here at Tekedia Institute. We're really so excited in what we do here. And there's no way we would have done this without you. I want to say congratulations. You are ready to lead. Please go to Twitter, go to LinkedIn and tag us Tekedia graduation and just do that, share that ready to lead from the portal and the certificates from now you can feel free to send and the team will be working to give you the link to download it. Thank you and have a great evening and afternoon depending on where you are. Thank you and congratulations once again. I'm hoping that hopefully Itayo is planning something for graduation and physical one. We'll see how it works out and I think it's going to be great. So thank you. Good evening. Good afternoon. Congratulations once again and bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Congrats, everyone.
Thank you, Prof.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Prof.
you so much, Prof. God bless you. Nice having you.
Thank
Nice
you.
having you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Nice having
Thank
you.
you,
Nice
Prof. Thank you,
having you.
Congratulations.
everyone. Bye, everyone.
Excitement.
Prof, we appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's one of our success in our portfolio.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Still is better than children. Wow.
Congrats.
Bye.
Wow.
Congratulations to everyone. God bless you and good night.